First of all, I am shocked by the result of today's final. I really thought Alcaraz was going to win this one. I was watching the first set, and Sinner got off to an early break lead, mostly off of Alcaraz's errors, and then Alcaraz stormed back and broke back with confidence. It just looked like he was in control of the match. He had the quality of the shot, the movement, the variety, especially the movement was a tremendous advantage in the first set. It just seems like Alcaraz could go out to the ball, maintain his footing, and hit a really good shot. Whereas when Sinner, anytime he'd move out to the ball or have to change directions quickly, his feet would go out from under him and he'd just lose the control, lose the quick takeoff of his movement. So that was a big warning sign for me early on. And then even when Sinner got an early break lead in the second set, I really didn't think too much of it. And this goes back to the French Open final, where Alcaraz would sometimes occasionally give up an easy break of serve, but he would storm back later on in the set, take back the break lead, and hold on really strong from there. So when Sinner got that break lead in the second, I didn't think too much of it. And I especially, even at that point, I didn't think he was going to win, because it just looked like he was having to force his tennis so much. His movement didn't look very strong. Alcaraz looked like he was the one playing the points on his term, and he just seemed to have the variety and the confidence to beat him. And I could tell Sinner was pressing. Anytime he'd have a close game, close point, huge cheer to his team, whereas Alcaraz, on the other hand, looked under control of the match. But anyway, Sinner plays a really strong second set, totally buys into his aggressive tennis, and he's able to hold that out, doesn't get broken later on in the second set, and holds and continues to hold serve to win that set. Then I'm watching the third set, and I see the dynamic shift a little bit. Once again, Sinner got the break lead, but I still felt like it was Alcaraz's match to win, especially with the head-to-head last year's French Open final and the history between them. And I also feel that the longer the match goes in general, the more it favors Alcaraz based on his fitness and athleticism. But anyway, I see Sinner continue to play the offensive tennis, big strike, because he knows that's the one area where he has a clear advantage over Alcaraz, going power to power from the baseline. But to me, it seemed like Alcaraz still had the ability, the skills, and the defense to hang in there with him from the rally, and his variety and his approaching the net and his angles would still be enough to win the points against Sinner. However, I clearly saw that Alcaraz lost a little bit of confidence in his game, and I didn't even expect this from him because I thought he was in control, like I was saying before. But he says to his team how he feels like he can't hang in there from the baseline. Sinner is just dramatically outplaying him from the baseline. And I remember listening to Patrick McEnroe's commentary, and they were saying that the stats didn't back it up. And I remember seeing Alcaraz saying that, and from watching the match, it sure didn't feel like Sinner was dominating Alcaraz from the baseline points. It looked about even to me. But that psychologically got in Alcaraz's head, and he clearly started to look uncomfortable in the points, and Sinner could rely on his power-oriented game to get the advantage of Alcaraz. Even though Alcaraz has 2 Wimbledon titles, I think when you're looking specifically at that rivalry, the grass court slightly favors Sinner. This is because Sinner is a very powerful, very fast-oriented player, and just like Ben Shelton said in his press conference, Sinner's ball gets through the court so fast, forehand and backhand. On a fast court, Alcaraz has very little time on his shots, so he can't create the angles and the racquet speed he's looking for because Sinner's shots are landing so deep and they're so quickly up on him. So I think that made the difference today. This is really good for the rivalry. And even till the last little bit, I wasn't assuming that Sinner was going to win that match because he had the match points in the French Open. He had the break lead with 2-1 advantage. And I just thought it was poised for Alcaraz comeback. So until Sinner saved those break points, until he literally won the last point of the match, I was unconvinced. But I think it's the speed of the court, Sinner committing to his offensive strategy, and maybe Alcaraz doubting his ability to dictate play a little bit. I think those were the things that made the difference in this final. As a fan of tennis and a fan of Sinner, I'm glad he won this match. It brings the head-to-head, the major total, a little bit closer, and it spells good things for the rivalry going forward. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts on the final in the comments.